Welcome to episode 610 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight we are talking about haunted places in the U.S. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting all my shows up there. And if you'd like to support the show, there are a few different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction. You can also sign up for the Patreon page, where you'll get 2 extra episodes of the show every week of true paranormal stories from the web. And that's for any paid membership level there. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support for the show is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making the show, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And again, we're still in Arkansas here. We're getting ready to, I think we're on one of the last few locations in the state, I believe. Let me double check on that. And we'll go from there. Let me see here. No, I guess we'll see. We'll find out. I know we're getting close to being done with that. Oh, yeah. So we're on the last location here in Arkansas before we move on to California. In another episode, I'm sure. We won't get to that quite tonight, I don't think. But so that'll be happening in the next one of these episodes. The next location we're talking about here is the Clayton House. It's in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Apparently, it's an antebellum mansion, and it's said to be haunted by the ghost of William Henry Harrison Clayton, who was a former prosecutor who lived in the house. The first article here I have to read from is onlyinyourstate.com, and the title of this article reads, "A Historic Treasure. The Clayton House is also one of the most haunted places in Arkansas." And this apparently came out in 2020. It talks about the southern Gothic homes of the area are frequently haunted, according to the article here. Says that this Clayton House is no different. It's had a few different ownership changes, as well as existed through the Civil War and other events such as murders that happened in and around the location. It was built in 1852 by Mr. Sutton. I'm wondering if they don't know the guy's first name. It's possible with records and all that. It was an antebellum home that was abandoned during the Civil War before it was turned into a Union Army hospital. Think about that. Hospitals, there's always activity that happens after hospitals because of all the energy and just the emotions and all those things that happen there. Good and bad, but also when it's a war hospital, it's going to be, I would think, a lot more rough than maybe a regular hospital. But anyway, it says that several years later, we'll just say William Clayton, we won't go through his whole name again, purchased the house and renovated it, also making it twice the original size and turning it into a Victorian Gothic Italianate house. Mr. Clayton and his wife, along with their 7 children, lived in the home from 1882 until 1897. Clayton was appointed the district attorney of the United States, apparently, for the West District. I'm sorry. So it says for the United States, but then for the West District of Arkansas by President Grant in 1874. He had a twin brother, John Clayton, who was a U.S. senator. Apparently, was also mysteriously assassinated in 1873. It says that some believe that his spirit is the one that haunts the Clayton house. So not the original owner, not the Clayton that it's sort of that lived there, but the brother of that one. But then if it's twins, I guess that'd be hard to know. But it says people have described one apparition as the tall man, who is dressed all in black, wears a hat, and walks angrily around. So, again, it is odd that this a lot of shadow figures seem to have this appearance of people in older clothing, and yet not all shadow figures appear to be necessarily human all the time. So, or at least we don't know for sure anyway. But just odd that coincidence there. It says that some hear footsteps upstairs when there's no one else in the home. And it says that one second-floor bedroom seems to have most of the activity that happens in the place. It says that staff and visitors have reported hearing footsteps, boots stomping, and doors slamming, along with seeing apparitions. Music and singing have also been heard throughout the house. So, different range of emotions going on there. There's another spirit that is said to be seen around the property that is described as the woman in the brown dress. It says that this ghost has a peaceful aura about her, and she stands still usually. The article suggests it's possibly Mrs. Clayton, or it could also be a nurse from the time that the property was the hospital. No one really knows for sure. I do like that they point that out there, that no one knows for sure, because some places sort of get attached to a narrative, and then everything has to be what that narrative says it is. So it says that the Clayton house has become a popular part of ghost tour schedules in the area as well. And let me see here. Moving to the rest of this article here. It's on the National Registry of Historic Places, and it is known for sort of teaching about history as well of the area. So that's always good, because I think a lot of this, it's not always talked about all the time, but you can't really have. It's harder to have a lot of paranormal accounts of experiences without knowing what has been going on in the location. So, or at least what the possible causes could be. It says the architecture and period furnishings are impressive, according to the article here. And so that's the end of that first article here. So yeah, I do like that they don't try to pin down for sure that it has to be one person or another. They have possibilities there, but they don't really say it's for sure anyone in particular. So that's sort of nice to see in these articles. And so yeah, moving on to the other article I had set aside for this location. This is from hauntedrooms.com. So a couple of fairly well-known, if you look into any of these things, those are two sites that have a lot of a lot of articles about a lot of places in them. They come up a lot in my research. The title of this article reads "The Haunted Clayton House, Fort Smith," and it says that the former director of the Clayton House, last name is Seiler, started having experiences there shortly after she started working there. And according to her, there is one bedroom on the second floor that frightens people. People have reported hearing doors slamming, boots stomping, and music playing in empty rooms. So, again, some of the same claims that the first article mentioned. She also reports that she saw the apparition of a woman dressed in a linen shirt and brown skirt in Mr. Clayton's study one day. So, first article mentioned that she was seen on the property, which I took as being more outside, but sounds like maybe either there's multiple figures wearing that kind of clothing, which is definitely possible, or they're just seen throughout the place. Carpenter says that was doing some repairs in 2007 and 2008. Took pictures before doing the repairs. And then when the images were developed, there was what appeared to be a woman in one of the pictures. So that's always neat when you're not actually doing a paranormal investigation. You're just taking pictures for sort of reasons of documentation or whatever, and you get something like that. Documentation for renovations or whatever, insurance or who knows. It says that paranormal investigation and research, so this one group apparently, has been to this house many times. And they've recorded EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomenon, sounds and voices that are caught on electronic devices that are not heard by people there at the time. They even caught in one of these recordings what sounded like a meowing cat, which is neat, because obviously they didn't hear a cat while they were there. There's also an EVP of a man shouting obscenities. That's lovely. And another person calling for Anna. We've done a show, actually, a friend of the show, and I did an episode on EVPs quite a while back as to all the different possibilities of what they could be. And spirits is definitely one, but that's just one option. So it's always hard to know what you're getting when you get those recordings. It says that it's interesting to know that the Claytons had a daughter named Anne. So, because they did have 7 kids. One time there was a woman that had her hair tugged. That's not so great, but hopefully it wasn't too hard. A man reported seeing a woman's face in the boardroom, and it was the same room where the carpenter had taken pictures there. So activity from the same location. Excuse me. It says, now the next section it goes into here is about the history, which we already talked about a little bit before. This house has been listed on the National Registry of Historic Places, and it was once the home of William Clayton and his family, and it's now one of Arkansas's most beloved structures. So again, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this episode, please, before you go to any of these locations, make sure they're open to the public before you try to go there, and find out when and how to arrange all that, and before you go, and because trespassing is never a good idea for a lot of reasons. It says that William Clayton and his wife, Florence, had 6 daughters and 1 son in the house. It has 8 rooms with ornate coal-burning fireplaces, a semi-detached servants' quarters, and a kitchen. It says the walk through the house will take you back in time to a time of elegance and beauty. There's a total technical restoration of a house that was done from 1970 to 1977 to restore it to what it was. So it says that guests today, again, this is as of this article, can view the location and many parts of it anyway. Actually, it sounds like most of it. And a lot of priceless family belongings are still in the house. So that's really neat. I guess we will have time to get to another location here today. But yeah, that's a neat couple articles there about that location. And it sounds like there's activity there, and but no one knows who it is. So with that, we can get to a location that I've covered before. So I guess that's probably okay that we cover it again here just briefly. Getting into the state of California. I think we've covered this location. If not, a lot of people have heard of it. Many people, I'm sure. And that's the Winchester Mystery House. And this is in California, in San Jose. Sprawling mansion, according to the summary here, with bizarre architecture, supposedly built to confuse spirits. And again, does say supposedly. I will say that there's a lot of, I'll just say, to put it lightly, debate as to what happened there and what didn't, and how much is sort of made up for tourism or for Hollywood and all those different things. So, but at the same time, even though a lot of the stories that have been told about the place and the owner, Sarah Winchester, even though a lot of that has been said to be disproven, there are still reports of activity there. And that's what always amazes me about these locations is even when you have either no story about why things are happening there, or the narrative or the story about why there's activity there is disproven, the activity still remains in some of these locations. So just a neat point there I want to bring up. We'll just cover this first article here, and I'll leave this one and the next one in the episode description for you all to check out on your own. This article is from hauntedrooms.com, and the title is just the name of the location, the Winchester Mystery House. I'm sorry, the Haunted Winchester Mystery House. It says it was once the home of Sarah Winchester, who was the widow of William Winchester, who was the, of course, his family was responsible for that particular firearm, the Winchester. So that is something I don't know a lot about, but I've heard of that before. It was the construction started in 1884, but it wasn't ever stopped completely until the death of its owner, Sarah. And it stopped immediately on September 5th, 1922, according to this article. It's estimated, it says that Sarah Winchester spent more than $5 million on the house's construction. This is not today either. This is over, let me see here. Let's see here. 1922, so over 100 years ago now. That time's money. It says it's reported that upon consultation with a medium in Boston, or the Boston medium hasn't been capitalized here, Sarah came to believe that the family was being haunted by all the victims of the Winchester rifle. So that's what kind of was. Again, I've heard a lot of people say that this has been proven not to be true. I don't know for sure because maybe I haven't covered this one yet. And so she, according to the legend, she believed she could only appease the spirits by continuously building. Let me see here. So it says that the house is reported to have various spirits, mischievous spirits. It's been open to the public in 1923, basically since then on and off. People that have worked in and visited the location have had weird experiences. So this is what I said. Even when the cause of a haunting is sort of debunked or proven wrong not to be the case, activity still remains, which is always fascinating to me. says that doorknobs would rattle on their own. There'd be floorboards that would creak, even when the rooms were empty. Footsteps would be heard, and breathing could even be heard. Felt as well. So around the people, I'm guessing. There's one picture that was taken by a caretaker's friend that had the image of a stranger who wore a workman's heavy set of overalls. And people believe that it is one of Sarah Winchester's carpenters who used to work at the location. So it says that Sarah inherited more than $20 million upon her husband's death, and earned $1,000 per day from the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. The original house was 7 stories high, but it was reduced to only 4 due to the 1906 earthquake. It says there are roughly 160 rooms, 2 ballrooms, 40 bathrooms, and 47 fireplaces. The house is, again, popular for stairways and doors that lead nowhere or directly outside, as in like sheer drops outside. I've seen that before. It's been covered in so many TV shows. Back in the day, the house was the only one that had indoor plumbing for a while, and hot showers as well. So it says that although the construction was was bizarre, Sarah Winchester didn't spare any amount of money to ensure that the house was beautiful, and that does seem to match with what I've seen pictures of before. You can go online and find a lot of pictures. These articles, I'm sure, will have, because I'm just looking at the text here, but they'll have pictures in them as well. Some of the objects in the house were also designed exactly for her and for the house. After she passed, her possessions were given to her personal secretary and her niece. Her niece took everything she liked and sold the rest, in a private auction. So it says that 6 trucks worked 8 hours a day for 6 weeks to remove the furniture from the house. So yeah, that's the end of the article, and that's about all the time we have. There's another article here from usghostadventures.com talking about the location. There, I'm sure you can find all kinds of articles and videos on the location, and this may be something that I come back to. If I haven't already, I don't remember. I have to look and see if I've done a full show on this. It all kind of blurs together. But there's been all kinds of TV shows, documentaries. I'm sure there's countless videos online about the location, and I would love to visit it someday. So, Ricky says in the chat, I heard that she built rooms that would just end, it was built to keep the paranormal from finding her. Yes, that was one of these stories. Is that everything was designed to confuse spirits and lead them sort of to dead ends and away from her and everything. So there's a lot there. Again, we'll have to maybe do a deep dive another time. But that's all for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.